Hey everyone, welcome to this lesson. So in this one, we're going to talk about number manipulations and finally start to close this section. And after this, we're going to talk about F strings, which are really useful and pretty much the best thing you're going to learn here. And then we're going to go ahead and create our final project. So let's talk about number manipulation. So what are we going to talk about in this video and moving forward in the next one is pretty much making it easy for you to calculate things in Python. All right. So let me show you an example. For example, if you want to do a simple operation, right? I'm just going to divide 8 by 3. All right. If I do this, right, and if I print this is going to be 2.666665, whatever the you see number here, right? So that is the result. So the way you actually round this, let's make this a variable here. The way you round this and print, right, up 1. All right. So the way you round this is simply, if you remember, we talked about rounding these numbers, especially in the previous practice lesson. You would do up 1 or up 2, for example, equals integer up 1. So essentially what you would do is turn up 1, this number that we get 2.666 into an integer, which is essentially going to cut this right out of it. So this is something we've done, nothing complicated here. You've seen this. Now there are actually different ways to deal with numbers. All right, so one of the ways that you can actually deal with them is to round them, literally using a round function. So here's how you do it. So we got 8 divided by 3, all right? And one of the things we can do here, we can add a function called round. All right? So when we do this, and if we print up 1, what we're gonna get is this, 3. So this essentially rounds it up to 3 because 2.6, if you remember guys, 2.6 is over 2.5. This means that it's closer to 3 than 2, right? So that means that this is going to round it up to number 3. So that's one way to actually manipulate numbers, to round them up essentially. Another way that you can actually do it is round it to a specific amount. So here's how you do it. So we got the round function here. What you can do, whatever you got operating here, is add a comma and specify exactly how the precision of your rounding. For example, I want to do 3, meaning that I'm going to round up to 3 floating numbers here. All right. So if I actually run this again, we're going to see a very different number. You see 2.667. So 3 decimal points after this. But when we actually don't have any of this, when we don't have the precision number here, it's going to round it to 1. And rounding to 1, it means that it's going to round this particular number 6 to the next one, which is going to be 10, which is going to turn the number 2 to 3. I hope that makes sense, but again, that's how the precisions work essentially. All right. So as you see, we turned the number 6 to 7 because it's it's technically 2.6666, but the last number, which is the third decimal point, was turned into 7 instead of 6. So that's how rounding up works. All right, so there are more ways that you can actually work with this. So another way that you can actually round something, okay, is to just let's go back to the printing here. You can actually round using the double division. So we call it floor division. So the idea with this is that this is going to turn this into an integer instantly. So if you actually run this, we got a 2 immediately. So that's another useful thing that you can do. All right. Again, not used that often. I've never actually used it in the program, but it's an available option if you'd like to actually use this. But I want to actually talk more about operators because this is really cool and you can do a lot of interesting stuff. So one of the things that you can do is that you can use this operator, which is division equal to actually divide the variable by a number you provide. All right. So for example, let's say we're going to say a number is and divided by 2 or like 3 or something. All right. Now we're going to define this number. Obviously, the number equals, for example, 9. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to divide this number / equals, right? Sorry, number. There you go. So we're going to divide this number by 3 immediately, and we're going to print number. Here we go. So if I print this, what do you think we're going to get? We're going to get a 3, right? Because we divided 9 by 3. That's going to give us a 3. And this is a float, by the way. So keep that in mind. Always division comes out in float. Remember, we talked about this. Now this is pretty useful because what you can do is you can actually do like a lot of continuous operations using this. The idea with this is that, for example, another way that you can actually use this is to, for example, use a plus equal. So plus equal essentially adds 3 to the existing number, right? Or minus equal. It takes 3 out of the existing number. So again, let's go with the plus equal. So if I do this, we're going to get a 12, right? If I go with the minus, it's going to take 3 out of it, and it's going to give us a 6. So again, the idea with this is you can actually maybe create a score holding function or something, like a game that has a point system, right? For example, you start with a point which is like 0, right? And then like something happens in a game which triggers the point, for example, that is going to give us like 3 points in that game. And then when we print it on the screen, it's going to give us, for example, a 3, right? So just like that, we added 3 as we go. So we started with a 0, but we add more or take like a couple out. For example, something else happens and they lose 2 points, for example. So now we gave it 3 and took out 2. That's going to leave us with 1 point, right? So pretty much that's how it works. You just like kind of operate these numbers and add and take out more like points from it, or like add more to it. So that's basically an operator, right? So we're just like, you know, mathematical operation. We manipulate numbers. So it's a very useful thing. Again, it comes very useful in more advanced functions, and we're gonna put this to use. By the way, I have a very dark practice for you, which I'm going to show you exactly how do we actually put this to use and how we can create something very interesting. But you know, it's going to be a little bit scary for some people. So I look forward to see what you guys think about it. All right. So keep these in mind, guys. Make sure you actually put it to use. Again, we talked about you know, converting these operations using like in the integer conversion function, right? And then we talked about rounding numbers, which is very simple, right? You put a round function, and then you put your number in there, whatever, and it's just going to round that. For example, 8 divided by 3, it's going to round it essentially, right? And then we talked about the floor division, which is going to just put out a result in integer instantly. And then we talked about the, you know, operators. So let me know if you have any questions, guys, and because we're going to continue talking about another important thing, which is if strings, and then we will create a really cool project. Thank you so much. Let me know if you have any questions. If not, I'll see you in the next one.